Greetings, everybody. Welcome to G4G on YouTube. I have been told that when I record from this tablet, I do sound a little bit different than I normally do when I'm doing PC recording, so my apologies for that if I sound a little bit different than normal. So today we are in Realm of Champions. Marvel Realm of Champions is a mobile game that is from Kabam, the people who do Marvel Contest of Champions, aka MCOC and MROC. These two games are basically brother and sister games, as they occur somewhat in the same shared universe. And if you happen to check the status update that I released on my channel somewhat recently, you may know or surmise or guess that this is the game that is currently on its way out. So, in checking the web, the release date for MROC was apparently December of 2020. And here we are at the near end of January of 2022. So basically, the game was live for a solid year and about a month. So about 13 months or so. I am surprised, not that it has lasted 13 months, that it actually has been around for 13. I feel like it hasn't been quite that long. Well, actually, wait a minute. No. My guess is right. I am right about it feeling a little bit weird. I remember now. This game had a limited release in December where certain countries had it. And then it had a full global release where other countries got it. And I think that was September. So yeah, I am right in feeling like this has not been around for 13 months, but shorter than that, about half the time I was right. This has probably been officially released in September. That definitely makes a bit more sense now. Well, sadly, they made an announcement a couple weeks ago that MROC is shutting down at the end of March. You can no longer make any money purchases. And similar to when Marvel Avengers Alliance was dying, they're throwing a lot of the game's currency at you. And things are cheap and very, very accessible. So if I were to hit credits over here, well, I can't hit credits because it wants to bring up the screen controls, but hold on a second. Yeah. You can't buy the credits anymore, which is the real-life currency of the game. But they're throwing so much currency at you in the game. Gold, credits. I mean, there's never in a million years would I have amassed nearly 7,000 credits in this particular game. And they've just opened up the coffers, really. And they're just letting you get exactly what you want. So, if you haven't installed the game yet, now might be time to try it out and see what it is like to play with the world at your fingertips. So what happened to this game? Why are they closing it up? To be honest, I think the audience just wasn't there as much as they had hoped. The common complaint about this game is that nobody is really playing, and you're constantly playing bots. And to me, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world if you get to still enjoy the gameplay of the game. You still get to get in a mode, you still get to play it, you have a relatively short queue time because it's getting filled in with bots, and you're not sitting there waiting 15 plus minutes for your game mode to launch, and you're still getting somewhat the experience that you had hoped for. And they actually do a very good job of hiding, to some degree, that you are playing against bots. Because they give them these crazy names, like Das Boot or Das Groot, and left something around. I mean, it's weird. It sounds like a random name generator of sorts. But if you were to go and sit in the queue, it doesn't really take that long to get to most game modes. And there are a whole bunch of more solo game modes too to enjoy. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But if you've never seen this game before, let's go ahead and give you a little wrap-up of the game. So the game started with Black Panther and Sorcerer Supreme, essentially a female Doctor Strange, Hulk, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Storm. They then added, in somewhat particular order, Thor, Captain America, and then Forest Guardian, aka Star-Lord. Now, I don't remember if Thor or Captain America was first. I think Captain America was first. I was really excited when Thor dropped, because Thor has some really good passives that make him a lot of fun to play. He's got some beef to him, but at the same point, he does really, really high DPS. And the combo that I like the most for him is that I have a buff that says when I do God of Thunder, and I get this Thunderstrike buff, or Thunderstruck buff, and then I do Lightning Whirlwind, it actually does more damage. So you combo his two abilities together, and also, if you go Thunderstruck into Titan Killer, which is his ultimate, it also does more damage. So it's sort of a very RPG-esque mechanic over there to chain his buffs together for more damage. After a while, they then added the transmog system, and you had the ability to go ahead and choose different looks from the gear that you have amassed over time. And by doing such, and essentially having quote-unquote skins, what they allowed you to do is really emulate some comic looks for the character, and totally change the character into looking like somebody else. So here is a Thor outfit that looks a lot like Odin, and here are some Odin outfits. And then you have the unworthy look to him. And then you have a look that is basically like playing Destroyer. And you have some classic looks, and then you have the eye patch look from Ragnarok. And again, another sort of Odin-esque sort of Valajar from World of Warcraft look, or an older Thor look to him over here. So in one character, you have Thor, you have Destroyer, and you have Odin. That's pretty good. That's a nice variety over here. Really, one of the only things they could have done for him is maybe a Loki look. That would have been on brand. Now, this is no more apparent than when you go over to the newest release of Star-Lord, and you have a definite Star-Lord thief Ravager look, but then you also have a Nebula look. So that's really interesting that they decided to combine a Star-Lord look and a Nebula look. And then once you go into the transmog kits that have the mask, you really get a good Star-Lord. Like, I mean, this is just completely Star-Lord. And then you have this one, which kind of doesn't really match up to anything, but... And then you have Gamora. So you have Star-Lord, you have Gamora, and you have Nebula all wrapped up into one character. yes, no matter what outfit you pick, it's always going to play the same. The only thing that changes your play style is your weapon, and a good example of that is Storm. So Storm is a crowd control character. She does decent damage, but she's more about really controlling the battlefield. Now, her different looks, to me, have always felt like they've been Storm top to bottom. But she doesn't have many, huh? It's interesting that some characters don't have as many outfits. I mean, Thor was several pages of outfits over here, but Storm seems to be quite limited. However, I feel that everything in Storm's kit makes her look like Storm. There is no real variation like there is with Star-Lord. But if we go and take a look at her weapons, she has very different weapons. So she has the flail, which is wind-based. So she has Elemental Blast, creates a strong updraft that pulls enemies in and then slashes them. You get a Wind Fury buff that boosts their projectile power and weakens incoming enemy projectiles. And then you have another wind attack over here. That's her ultimate. But if you change to the wand, she has cold damage. And everything is about blizzard and getting chill on an enemy as a debuff. And then exploiting chill, similar to, say, Jaina in Heroes of the Storm. But then she has the staff, which is shock damage. So it's a very, very different set of playstyles. So you have wind, you have freezing or ice, and then you have shock. And that really changes your playstyle depending upon the weapon that you have equipped. She is the only one that really is that way. It changes her whole kit to change weapons. Now, if you were to look at Black Panther, she has different weapons also. She has the claw, she has the spear, and she, for here, I have another spear. There's actually a third type for her, too. Again, she continues the same playstyle. The moves are a little bit different, and the same thing happens with Cap and Thor, but Storm and Sorcerer Supreme have very, very different playstyles when you change up their weapon. So if we were to look at Sorcerer Supreme over here, you have the book, which is a heal, weakness to enemies, and then you have the shield. So you have 2 support your allies and 1 offensive. So 2 supportive and an offensive. If we were to take a look at the mirror, you have a heal again. You have mystic damage that grants a power buff. And then you have infusing a target ally with energy from the dark dimension, healing them, removing debuffs, and granting them a siphon buff. Siphon deals mystic damage to nearby enemies and heals the target of your spell for 50% of the damage dealt. So again, very, very different playstyle. This one is more about supporting your team and a individual target on your team. Here we have healing them, we have cursing them with a dot, and then you have the Crimson Band of Sidorak, which binds somebody in place and stuns them, and it's a pretty long time. So Sorcerer Supreme and Storm, both of the original 2 ladies, have very different playstyles depending on the weapon that you choose. So the game has got a lot of depth to it, but unfortunately, I guess, really, the player base was not there. I cannot tell you, unlike Steam, how many people are playing at a particular point in time, but they have just completely unlocked the keys to the kingdom. I am not technically level 60, however, they gave me experience enough to unlock everything in the game, which is up to level 60. And I can pick and choose what I want to unlock. So this is an extra 5 inventory slots for the Captain America character, but I don't have to accept everything else along the way. So this is kind of the quote-unquote battle pass of the game, except you're not paying for it. And then you have your dailies, and your dailies are things like scrapping a piece of gear, upgrading a piece of gear, winning some game modes, and now there's open a crate. That one's somewhat new. You have battle ratings per character. You have some milestones like reaching Defender tier with 2 characters. And you have these limited items that are events. So here, scrap Iron Legionnaires, lasers, or drones. And that is essentially the Iron Man character. And he's got some interesting looks too. I forget if he has anything that changes him to a war machine, but he sort of has a Asgardian look to him. So there's Bleeding Edge, Pilot, Framework, which is sort of a mask off look. Marvel's Avengers does that one a lot. There's an unmasked Tony Stark. There's Alloy Avenger, Chrome Centurion. That's a very well-known look for him. And are you gonna let me scroll? There we go. There's War Machine. So everything is very clearly Iron Man, but Iron Man's had so many different looks over the years that they don't need to change him into a different character. They just have, any dozen number of suits. I mean, this is Superior Spider-Man. In most games, you'll see this called Superior Spider-Man. Resonant. This oxidized one's kind of cool. Midnight Endosim. Different colors is Endosim, Praetorian, Recruit set. I'm trying to see. Oh, this Egyptian one's pretty cool. I like the fans on the helmet. Retro set. Although I'm not actually seeing one that kind of corresponds to the set that I've got now, which is the sort of Asgardian armor set. And then that event is basically to go in here and see, there's the drones. And again, your Iron Man does change a little bit on the playstyle depending upon which weapons you were using, but honestly, not that much. Not as much as, say, Storm or Dr. Supreme does. And then when you go over to the game modes, you have Arena Conquest, which is always there. Solo Conquest. War Thor's Crucible has been around for a while. And then you have Deathmatch, which is a free-for-all. Then I think there was a Team Deathmatch for a while. But Arena Conquest and Deathmatch are definitely around. And the rewards that you... Oh, this one is Team C2v2v2. Okay, that's right. It's actually a Team Deathmatch. And depending on what mode you play, it gives you different rewards based on the mode you're playing. So for Deathmatch, it gives you components to upgrade your gear. If you go to Arena Conquest, you get Battle Rating. If you go to Daily Mission, you get these Synergy Crystals, which are the gear that have sets, sort of like tier sets in World of Warcraft. There's Battle Rating, and then there's Odin Treasures. These are catalysts for leveling up your character and also your gear. So it does kind of suck that you have to pick a specific game mode based on what you want. So say you're deciding to really want to work on your Iron Man and you don't have a lot of components, you have to go into Deathmatch in order to get those components. You can't say, go into Arena Conquest, that maybe you like Arena Conquest a little bit more. Now, there is a PvE mode to it that did get added in the game's lifespan. That's where you do some of these more limited modes that are, at times, you and a specific champion that changes daily. Sometimes it's the What If version of Captain America that is Peggy Carter. Sometimes, or Sharon Carter, excuse me. They call her, she's the head of the Patriot Garrison in this. Sometimes you're fighting with Scar from Hulk. Sometimes you're fighting with a Iron Legionnaire. So it kind of changes daily. But most times you're just helping the big good guy fend off waves of enemies. And then the third wave, which is the last wave, is where you fight sort of clones of heroes and everything. So the game has been fun. I do like to play it daily. I don't always fight things daily, but I was definitely coming in here daily, scrapping gear, upgrading gear, opening my crystals and everything. And as you can see, this queue is going relatively quick, but I will point out when this queue fills up who is actually a bot or not. And that is where it's up to you to decide whether you think that's good or not. Do you really go into these games to actually fight other human beings and duel against human beings and their skill different from an AI? Or do you go into these games and say, I just want to play the mode that is ahead of me without it wasting too much of my time? I don't care if I'm fighting a bot. I don't care if I'm fighting a human. I care about winning, and I care about my time not being thrown out a window by sitting in a queue for 15 minutes only to be like, well, my lunch break is up, or my time to play this game is up. I'm going to stop, and now I got to go to bed, or now I got to go back to work. That's up to you to decide. So let's see what we get here. The name should be popping up in just a moment. Gavin, Brit, Das Fru. That's Das Fru is definitely a bot. Rewinder Z is SDQ Universe. So I have one human in this match because they're part of an alliance, Gaywu. So the human is on my side. Very interesting that they couldn't balance the humans from being opposing to each other, where each human gets 2 bots. No, now it's 2 humans a bot against 3 bots. You can tell because bots don't have alliances. Also, the bots do not have gear synergy. So sometimes, the AI bots are good and bad. Some people say that their bots are always the idiots and the enemy bots are always the good ones. Sometimes people will say it's the exact opposite, and then the challenge just really isn't there. So here's my Iron Man ultimate. I comboed it with my Sorcerer Supreme, rooting the guy with the Band of Sidorak over there. And that is why Sorcerer Supreme is pretty good crowd control if that's the weapon that you pick. And unfortunately, what weapon you pick, you don't necessarily know what you're going to be dealing with until you actually get in the match. So unless you're queuing up with friends, there is no way of knowing that, hey, I'm going to choose the Sorcerer Supreme weapon that allows me to root somebody so that my Iron Man can just sit there and beam the person to death. So the way that the game works is that you have heavy attacks, you have light attacks, you have dodges, and then you have your 2 abilities and your ultimate. Oh, so we actually, see, that's very rare, that round that you saw over there. You either have a round where you get rolled or you do the rolling. It's sometimes very, very infrequent to get around that's competitive. Again, pretty competitive round, however, I'm alone. And one of the things that sucks about the timing of this is that they always tend to do the healing globes right around the time you really want to be in the center, trying to control that center point. So you have to make the decision of, hey, do I want to live? Or do I need to get in there and contest and not give up that center? So this is going to be the win right here. And it's going to be interesting to see which one of the two humans top scores. So you can see the Captain America over there has the Winter Soldier look. Cap has a Winter Soldier look, and he also has a Red Guardian look to him. That's what his skins look like. So I can't gain any more PvE experience because I'm capped out at 60. I earned some Iron Legionnaire credits. I did not get any dailies done because I did not play a Super Soldier. I'm not in a party with anybody. And I forgot you have to hit the button to see the stats now. So that's it. This is the end of Realm of Champions. If you feel like saying, hey, there are some cool skins in there and some cool transmogs and some of the characters look like they'd be fun, now's the time to do it. Get in here, start raking in all the credits that the game is throwing you, all of the experience so that your rewards battle pass up there in the green can get maxed out, and enjoy the game while it's on its last legs. And basically they are opening up the entire vault for you. You are raiding the bank if you play now. But sadly, we're losing another Marvel mobile game to go along with Battle Lines and Marvel Avengers Alliance, because remember, there were two versions of that were on mobile. You had the iOS version and you had the Android Windows Store version. Geez, what else have we lost for mobile games from Marvel? I'm sure you guys could probably remember some others, but oh yeah, Marvel Avengers Alliance 2 was only mobile. So yeah, we're losing another game, and I honestly believe that this one, compared to Contest of Champions, was not nearly as greedy. I found Contest of Champions to be way more greedy, and I like hardly ever spent any money on this. I mean, I maybe spent once or twice, like around the release of characters, to maybe get some gear for them right as they drop, but for the most part, this game wasn't nearly as greedy. And if you play now, you can, if you are using the same account, they're giving you a little bonus in MCOC. If you are a Contest of Champions player and you log into both games with the same account, they will go ahead and give you a little bit of a bonus in Contest of Champions. So that is it for me, guys. No updates right now on Redux, and the next video that I've got planned is unfortunately going to be not as great news. Yeah, it's two sad videos in a row. If you're a Realm of Champions player, this one's going to be a little sad as they're closing it up, but the next video is going to be a little bit rougher, unfortunately. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Napalm signing out.